'Cause you hate your whole crew and you hate your whole crew, so please don't stay in touch. Fuck you. Can you guys hear me probably singing? That's hilarious. As I'm singing, yes, you can. Okay. Um, I hope you guys are doing well. Here, let me turn on my camera so you can hear me and see me. I was listening to Fuck You. I looked a little bit clown-like that. I hope you're all doing well. This is a late night stream that was caused by me being on a different stream where I'm not allowed to talk as much as I would like because that's the way it is. It's not my stream. That's the way it be. I hope you guys are having a good night. Hello, Jesus on the wall. No, this is not Jesus. This is Rhett and Link, who are my Jesus. This is Rhett and this is Link of Good Mythical Morning, and these are their dogras. These are dogras. This is Rhett's dogra, Barbara, and this is Link's dogra, Jade. They're actually dogs, not dogras. But that's where I'm at this point in time. I've sometimes when I speak and I say the things I want to say, I look just a quick little glance up at the number of viewers and I think to myself, wow, 5 whole people care about think what I think. People in court is mean to me only because I told her to be. Cachette, you're more than welcome to like people in court. She is actually a friend of mine. We play mean to each other on purpose. I encourage her. She does talk down to me. I talk down to her a lot too, but she does talk down to me, but I encourage that. Um, it is a bit of an act. I will tell you that. She takes it more seriously than I do. I have to tone myself down a lot more than she does to me. Um, like you guys know, I love this. I really enjoy the interaction and I enjoy hanging out with you guys. And so for me, there's no, like, this is not difficult. This is what I want to do. I just decided to do this because I enjoy doing it. Um, Other people who shall remain nameless maybe have to do it for a different reason. But for me, this is literally, I enjoy it. Like when people say, "Oh, my voice hurts after talking for 3 hours," I'm like, "Wow, good job on you, amateur." Um, I fucking did a 9 hour stream the other day, and I don't think anybody heard me complain about my voice afterwards. But whatever. That's just me being mean. She told me to shut the fuck up on screen. It made you mad on stream. It made you mad. You weren't aware it was a normal thing. No, and you know what, Kesha? I have to say thank you because I think you guys are amazing the way that you jump in to protect me and help me. And normally, like, I handle myself pretty well. We never block anybody on my channel. We never, ever, ever block anybody on my channel. If somebody wants to come in and troll me and lay waste to me, I'm willing to allow that. There's never going, and that's why my channel is different because as a mod, I expect you absolutely not to block somebody. That is not going to happen. That is not the way that a mod in my channel responds. But it's hard. I spoke to people in court about this because she was like, "I think people really didn't like that I did that." And I said, "Yeah, they probably didn't because they like me." But we'll get to a point where we understand each other. And the hard part is that I'm really mean to her on her stream, but she's very nice. And so people there are like, "Wow, that girl's a bitch." But that's just the way I am. I've sort of been trained by like Mikey and Credence, who, as we saw today with Brian or whatever it was, like that is how I aspire to be. To deal with a Brian the way that they dealt with him, that to me is like, oh, that would be ideal. And the fact that there's 4 of you here right now, you're the only 4 people I care about. I hope you know that. You 4 are my only 4 people. I don't care about the masses. She was very tired, but here's the thing. Don't lead with a video like that if you don't have the time to deal with it. You're kidding me. This guy's talking about eating her pussy out and you're not going to be able to talk about that? I'm sorry. But you require a couple hours to deal with that. So, you know, that's how I feel about it. And she knows that. We text back and forth. We text all the time. She texted me in the grocery store today. She called me. I'm like, bitch, I'm in the grocery store. What do you need? She's like, oh, I want to talk to you about something. I'm like, okay, well, like, I love being part of the creator sort of world. Like, that's really my goal. When I was demonetized, it was actually a really big punch in the throat, if you will, because I have to change how I introduce myself. The triangle with the eyeball. I cannot explain it because I didn't draw it. My daughter did years ago. Um, and she's just more artistic and smarter than I am. So, Cachette, first of all, I would never make fun of you for being a weed virgin, and I appreciate you coming to me with your questions. I used to manage a dispensary and I've worked with a master grower, so I'm really intimate with the ways that we can help. What I think that is important for marijuana is that we first determine what is it that you want to accomplish from using marijuana. Do you want to have a good time? Do you want to sleep? Do you want to relax? Do you want to like insert whatever you want here? And then we can move from there because basically the terpenes, which are the flavor part of marijuana. So terpenes exist in lots of different things. They exist in mangoes and they exist in oranges and they exist in anything that you smell in the world. That's a terpene. And marijuana has a vast array of terpenes. So you have an anxiety that hasn't turned off for about 30 years now. Is it an anxiety that is in your head where your head is constantly rolling, going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? Or is it an anxiety in your body which says, you need to sit still? Why are you moving? Please sit still. Because those are two different anxieties that are dealt with differently via marijuana. Limonene is a great terpene, Scott McRae, and one of maybe 130 terpenes that are prevalent in marijuana. Um, the reality is that what one person finds creates anxiety for them, the other person might find actually relaxes them. So she said the first one, which I said was, your brain is going all the time. Oh my gosh, you need to calm down, calm down, calm down. Okay, so you need an indica. So again, there's a few things that you need to do. So I would never recommend smoking marijuana to begin with. I don't ever encourage anybody to start smoking because that's not a good habit to start. And there are many other ways that you can take marijuana that you don't have to smoke. So, um, the thing you need to know about it though is that smoking or vaping is the best way to meter your dose. So, what that means is one hit or hoot off of a pen, a joint, a dab, or anything like that is going to be a different feeling than taking the same milligrams edibly because they interact differently. Tin Man, have a great night. I hope you have a good sleep. So, what that means is while it might hit you faster, it also wears off faster. And so you can meter it that way. Um, Honestly, if you're trying to are you trying to accomplish being relaxed for a little while and having a chill night? Or are you trying to accomplish not being anxious during your day? Because those are two different things that you can address differently. And again, these all depend on um, the way that you take them, the intake method, the quality of the product that you're taking in, and then also the way that your mind is preset in order to take those. So if you talk to me and I set you up for, okay, this hybrid that I'm going to give you is going to be perfect for when you need to get your shit going, but you don't want to be anxious, and you're going to take 3 hoots off of it and you're going to get going like that. Like the way I set that up for you is integral to how you actually experience that experience. And so it's unfortunate because people that sell marijuana aren't able to help people like that, unfortunately, at least where I live, because of regulations. But before regulation, that's how I dealt with it. So you got laughing gas at the dentist recently. It made you not give a care in the world. You were just chilling funny. You'd buy that so fast. So gas and air, which is what they call that, is available in Canada when you give birth. It's a huge thing that they use, and what I used for 24 hours. So my water broke spontaneously, and I basically got to the hospital and sucked onto a gas mask with gas and air in it, nitrous, and or laughing gas. And I lasted 24 hours before I needed to say, "Hey, we've got an issue here. Like I need some more pain relief." And they were able to give me an epidural after that. But honestly, if you normally feel like your brain goes really, really fast all the time, avoid a sativa or a sativa leaning hybrid and head into um the indica side of things. If somebody tells you, "Oh, it's an indica that is like a land race strain," they're lying to you. Send them to me. The so Jonathan's right. The couch lock that happens when you take an indica is actually caused by the terpene that's called myrcene. Myrcene. Myrcene is the type of terpene that actually literally locks you to the couch. It makes you feel like, oh, I don't want to move anymore. My body feels great like this. But that's actually what the distinguishing factor is when they determine whether something's an indica versus a hybrid or sativa is the myrcene content. It has to be higher than 0.05% myrcene in order to be considered an indica. And so, sort of something that's ubiquitous with an indica would be the couch lock or myrcene content. But you can absolutely get those in a hybrid form where they give you a little bit of that, where your brain maybe shuts off a little bit, but your body is still able to move and run. And the tapering of those terpenes is really what is um, beautiful about marijuana, because regardless of the THC percentage or anything like that, the terpenes are what is going to be able to give you the strain effects, the happiness, the giddiness, the couch lock, the tiredness, the hunger. All of those don't come from THC or even CBD. Those come from the terpenes that surround those molecules. And so what I would urge you to do if you go to a dispensary and the dispensary is, say, like has things open for you to smell, go ahead and smell them. And if you say, I like that, I don't know why, but I like the smell of that, go with that. Your body knows what you need. It will naturally bring you towards a terpene that you desire or need in your body, and it will naturally steer you away from the ones that you don't. So when you start smelling the weed, you might say, "Oh, that's yucky. That smells like cheese or gross or whatever." Listen to your body. That is not what you need. That terpene is not needed in your body. And unfortunately, I've said this many times before. Before I got married or before I got divorced, my ex-husband bought all the weed. I had no say in it. I used to get a bag of weed every month. That's what I got, and that's what I dealt with. And some months I would be super tired. I would be just, unable to be who I needed to be. And then some months I would be totally different. And the reality was that was sativa versus indica and a hybrid in between. But I wasn't aware at that time. When we first divorced and I had to find my own weed, that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. It was pre-legalization. I had to reach deep into my pocket of phone numbers, and I had to call somebody from high school. And I was like, "Hey, dude, can you help me out? Like, I need to find a guy who will sell me weed." Like, I felt like a loser, but I needed it. I had become dependent upon marijuana. And when I got that, I met this guy, and the first thing he said to me was, "Well, which kind do you want?" And I said, "Kinds? What?" Like, I was blown away. I didn't even know. And long story short, him and I ended up being together for a number of years, and I learned a lot from him. But um, I'm a sativa girl, let's say that. For the most part, I'm a sativa girl. If you give me indicas, I'm gonna sleep on the couch, and that's great for sometimes, but not all the time. I'm a girl, I'm a weed smoker. I need to smoke weed every day. And so I need to be smoking weed that lets me be up and at 'em and moving. And everybody's different. Um, the other thing to keep in mind is, what part of your life do you want to take over this? You have to know who you're buying it from. Exactly, Melanie. That's super important. Super duper important. And back in the day, I was pressing my own rosin in my living room because I knew where that product came from. I knew when the flush was, I knew what kind of food it was being given, I knew what, how long they were spending flushing out that weed. The average person has no clue about that. The average grower that works for a legalized growing operation has no clue about that. And that is what scares me the most, is when I talk to somebody who's in a position of power in terms of a grow, and they don't know about bud rot, they don't know about flush time, they don't know about X, Y, or Z. I get scared. I get really scared because it's an innocuous product until you deal with somebody who's sick. You know what I mean? Like, when you've got somebody who has lung cancer and you give them a product that might have black mold in it, you have a problem. That's a big problem. But, anyways, what are you saying, Aphex? I hope you're doing well. I don't even know what I was planning on talking about this stream. You want something that helps you disconnect from your day at work and take back your evening and just want to chill. You're always high strung. Okay, so I would definitely recommend that. I would probably smoke it, to be honest with you, at this point. Um, Message me on Discord. I don't know how to bring somebody on. Y'all know that. Um, but seriously, Cachette, what I would say is go with an indica that you smoke, so you do a little bit at a time, and then you deal with how that feels. And then you go from there. Some of the funnest nights that I've had have been when I've smoked a weed that I didn't even anticipate being really, funny or laughy or weird. And then all of a sudden, I'm laughing my night away and I'm like, holy shit, what happened? Um, a lot of it is how you go into it with your mindset. And that's really important. But Melanie's right. Carts are good. Scott, we're all adults here, so you'll ask this question. Which terps are best for intimacy? Well, that's a great question. I don't know the specific terps that are best for intimacy, but I will say that women versus men deal with intimacy better. So let's say, for instance, you have a marijuana lube or a THC based lube. The first thing that you need to do is check and make sure that it's safe with condoms. Most of them are not safe with condoms. And so that's okay as long as you're not using condoms as a birth control and STI prevention method. As long as that's taken care of in another way, then you're a-okay to go forward. And what you'll find is that a woman will be affected about 10 times more than a man. And that's because of the vagina, basically. So basically, when you put lube down at the vagina versus the penis doesn't have the absorption areas that the vagina has. And what will happen is um, the vagina will absorb that, and the THC bypasses the liver, which is going to be the place where it normally um, psychoactivates basically and becomes psychoactive. And so what you will have with is a high feeling but not psychoactive. So you'll often find a woman pretty like like tired or like weirded out. And that's going to be with a huge dose of the THC lube. You need to be careful with THC lube degrading condoms. It's a serious problem that they don't put on the bottle that much, but it is absolutely a thing that happens. And a man is not going to be affected by THC lube, but a woman will. So if you decide that you're going to use a lube, like it's made me fucked up before. And I get pretty fucked up all the time. So I'm just pre warning you. It's a heavy loading system. But definitely fun. I would say that you're going to get your lady to be a little more starfish and open to things as opposed to active and reverse cowgirl reverse cowgirl fun. Let's say that. If you go up the butt, Jonathan, you absolutely bypass the liver and psychoactive effects. And so when you use a suppository for marijuana, what starfish does not mean butt stuff. Starfish means like laid out like this when you're having sex with a guy. But seriously, if you use so what happens is if you use a suppository, which is what I would recommend for a lot of patients that have marijuana or sorry, that have cancer and need to use it for that, what you'll have is if you go ahead and use the suppository, you bypass the liver, which is where the psychoactivity happens. And so you can high dose your THC. This is great for marijuana or for cancer treatment because cancer treatment is usually precluded by how much THC you can manage being high by. But if you go ahead and go up the anus with a suppository, you can get high dose. I'm talking 500 milligrams THC, and the person isn't affected at all mentally. They are completely bypass that. And that is the key when you're dealing with cancer is getting a very high dose of THC. But generally the instruction I would give with people when they are dealing with cancer treatments would be as much THC as you can deal with being high and as much CBD as you can afford. And so, Chris, what you've stumbled into is a crash course in Phoenix tears and dealing with cancer and trying to treat it with marijuana. So if you can go ahead to your dispensary and ask them, do you have suppositories? You need to make sure that it's activated THC. You do not want unactivated THC. That's worthless to you because your butt ain't going to activate it. You need to have activated THC, which means that they have decarboxylated that THC to a temperature above 300 degrees. So decarboxylated THC into the Phoenix tears and then into the butt bum. Don't underestimate my. You guys are funny. But seriously, like I had a woman, a patient who was a patient at my dispensary, and she came in and she said to me, um, I have stage 3 colon cancer. Um, she's going through chemo. Absolutely. I'm all on that. But I also gave her the suppositories, and she was taking those every single day. And she was smoking marijuana for help with eating. Before she went in for her surgery, she came in and talked to me. She'd still been doing the suppositories the whole time. And when she came out of surgery, she came back and she said to me, it went from stage 3 to stage 1. They took it out at stage 1. And I'm going to tell you, like, she was an inspiration to me when she would come in to the dispensary and be like, "Oh man, I just biked here after chemo." And I'd be like, "Well, shit, bitch. I was about to not go for my fucking run later today, but apparently I'm gonna have to now since you biked here after chemo." Like, thanks for that. But seriously, like, it was inspiring to see somebody deal with their life like that. And she did very well. Um, in my opinion, it cannot hurt. I've yet to find a case of somebody dying from an overdose of THC. If you find it, please let me know. But seriously, it cannot hurt. It could only help. And if it doesn't help, whatever. But and that's how I looked at it. I would never, never counsel somebody to stop seeing a doctor or to stop a medical treatment. But I'm happy to talk to a doctor and tell them what I think is going on and what I'm saying you should take at the same time. Um, yeah, THC overdose is not possible. Like it would have to be in the kilograms, and I agree 100%. Like the amount of THC I've taken even today is what a doctor would think would knock somebody out. It hasn't. It's good. It's good. Um, sorry, somebody's messaging me on Discord. Um, Chris, how are you doing? Your channel is growing so well, by the way. How many subs do you have now? Can you tell us in the chat? I don't know how to join. I don't have Streamlabs. They're sending me shit to join. I gotta join their chat. I don't have Streamlabs. I don't know how to join their chat. Um, Let me see here. I also should have some court to watch, but I'm like, oh, what am I looking at? Oh, we do have some court to watch. Cachette is like, my state only approved it this day, and I'm really not into this like weird lube like insert suppositories into my butt chat, but okay. Oh, Scott, you're so sweet. I hold on, I just snapped the lid off of my pen. Can't deal with that. Au contraire, she said. Au contraire. Um, when I managed a dispensary, sometimes I would come into my office and my desk would be covered in like 30 pounds of weed. And it would all be in like quarter gallon Ziploc bags. Those were funny days. I have a few pictures of those days when I would literally like show up and be like, holy, there's 30 pounds of weed right here. What the fuck am I gonna do? And I got to pick the names a lot of the time because names are like a fake thing within the marijuana industry. They don't exist. Here you can't smoke weed and work at a dispensary. Melanie, I find that funny because I used to require my staff to smoke weed. It was important to me. If you're not going to smoke weed, fine, but actually there was one guy, that one weird guy that I didn't make smoke weed, but everybody else I was like, "Go smoke this joint and tell me what you think." And then I would talk about it. Like, duh. That's how we do. Um, 5 pound bags of bud. Are they carrying them in, Scott, or out? Because in Canada, you can't carry that much weed out. You would not be able to buy it. Stormy Gal, you are a doctor and you find the information regarding THC to be very interesting because we're not taught anything about it in medical school or specialty training. Stormy, I would love to chat with you more. My experience with doctors has been unfortunately hit or miss. And I recently came across a doctor who finally sort of asked me a question that I cared about. He said, "What THC percentage do you smoke? And I said, huh, you care? Like, that's interesting to me. And he said, yeah, I do care. And so I literally looked into it and explained to him the THC percentage that I smoked. And him and I discussed reducing that THC percentage. And it was the first time in my life that I've ever honestly spoke with a doctor and thought, I may indeed do what they've asked me to do. Because normally it's always a blanket. Marijuana's bad. You got to stop that. And it doesn't help. Whereas with him, what he said to me was, you are being treated for ADHD. I personally believe that the receptors that your body uses to process the medications that I prescribe you are also utilized by marijuana. And if you utilize marijuana instead of those drugs first, I don't think the drugs are going to work for you. And I was like, wow, shit, son, you might have something there. And I literally was willing to cut back. But the reality is that the drugs that he prescribes me, methylphenidate, instant release, and extended release, I only get a certain amount of. Versus marijuana, I'm allowed to go and purchase as much as I want. And there is something to be said for having this amount or ability to use that you don't feel bad doing, that I think is very important. I find it really almost offensive when people get mad at me for utilizing ADHD meds when in reality, if what's to be believed is that my dopamine levels are like 40% less than the average person, well, why wouldn't I want at least 40% more of dopamine that everybody else seems to have? Like, of course I would. But yet I'm penalized for even wanting. Um, I think that it is definitely something to be looked into. I have aphantasia as well, which means my brain doesn't have any imagery inside of it, which is a little bit weird. I've just learned that in the last year. And so I wonder if marijuana affects me a little bit differently than it affects other people. I don't, there's no hallucination, there's no visual image sort of reflection when I take marijuana. And so I wonder if that has some impact on what maybe a doctor would call my metabolism or my half-life rate for marijuana compared to the average person, because I can take drugs like a champ. Like seriously, I take drugs like a champion. But I'm not huge, I'm not a big girl. So I really do think it has a lot to do with how your brain processes it. And the fact that I have no visual imagery, I think makes it so that what I deal with is a little bit different. Scott says you had one hallucination 35 years ago. You thought an ink doodle on a piece of paper was a cockroach made you jump. Well, I'll tell you, I've done mushrooms and I've done DMT, and on both of those drugs, I had visual hallucinations. So I absolutely visualized hallucinate, not LSD, DMT, and what was the other one I just said? Oh, mushrooms, psilocybin. Um, so I I had like weird hallucinations on mushrooms. We were camping. It was weird. My arms felt like they went like forever. Like forever. And on DMT, my brain, yeah, I had the very, very standard hallucination of meeting the guy in the hallway, going down the tunnel. Like it was a very standard DMT experience. I even videotaped the whole thing, actually. I was very into it. I was tracking my heart rate the whole time. I had a whole system. I had already set up a system for taking it. But um the reason I say that is because like, I never used drugs in high school at all. I didn't smoke weed. I didn't smoke cigarettes, nothing. I didn't start until I was after 18. And I think that has a lot to do with the way my brain has luckily been able to develop, is that I was able to develop normally up until about 18 before I started using marijuana. Um, when I had my wisdom teeth out, that was super funny, actually. That was super funny. It can definitely be a spiritual experience. I think that it's important for anybody who is using a mind altering substance to be cognizant of who they're with. Because just as much as I can be a really good force of positivity, I can also be a fucking bitch. And I could literally turn somebody's trip just like that. Ew, do you see all those spiders crawling over you? Do you feel their arms? Do you feel how many legs are crawling all over you? They're never gonna leave you. Like, just like that. You can just fuck somebody right up. I feel bad doing that. I shouldn't do that. But seriously, you can. That's honestly the truth of it. Um, you can smoke mushrooms. I think you can. I've always eaten mushrooms. And utilize, like, yeah, microdosing with mushrooms. But you can definitely eat them or smoke them, I think. I'm not sure. Okay. I, your rheumatologist says, sorry, your rheumatologist says to smoke it up, Melanie. You tried smoking a lot of stuff the anarchist cookbook recommended. That's funny. Most of my mushrooms are in candy form, like microdosing candy form, but I believe that you could smoke them. Um, I do have some court that we can watch. Give me 1 second as we pull it up. Um, Also, if Aphex is listening, I don't know how to fucking invite somebody to watch this stream. I have no clue how to do that. I'm not there yet. Um, do, 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 do. You have to seriously dry them to smoke them? I would believe that. Is this stream just practice? Yeah. Let's call it just practice, Jonathan. Just practice. Just practice. What the fuck? Honestly, since I got demonetized, I've been a little bit lackadaisical in terms of getting court. And mostly it's because I'm mad at YouTube Daddy. I'm just mad at him and his, like, slap in the face at my editing abilities, which I thought, I was trying pretty hard at. And apparently, no, you were not. You were trying 0%. 0%. So, I've been avoiding him for the most part. But give me 1 second. I've got something here.
Everyone, yep.
Whoa! Oh, so loud.
This is in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Christopher Nicholas Diegos, file number 22-21180FC. I have John Glazier appearing on behalf of Mr. Diegos and Allison Arnold appearing on behalf of the people. So this is the date and time set for sentencing. The last time you were here.
Yes, YouTube Daddy did give me reasons why I was demonetized. The reason was I am not good. I wish I was kidding. I'm not. Basically, like, y'all ain't good enough. You don't edit enough and add anything to the videos. And I'm like, hold on, did you check out my lives? And they're like, oh, we did. Your lives are fine. It's the videos that you were trying to make money off of that are not good. And I was like, oh, okay. I spent an hour on the phone with them. I determined, am I allowed to make this new channel? Are you going to get mad at me there? And they said, no, we won't get mad at you there, but we won't monetize you. Fine, don't monetize me 100p. Just tell me if I'm allowed. And they said, yes, you're allowed. So that's why I started this channel. I don't know how to make them happy. They monetized me for 2.5 months and then took my money. And yes, it's my money. Like, they get 30%, but I fucking mean they took my fucking 70% and closed me down. I just like to point out, like, views are not important on YouTube. Okay. You know what's important on YouTube? Watch hours. Okay. And under 1,000 views on my channel so far, I have 594 hours. Okay. Do you know how much some people pay to get 594 hours of views? They wish. They fucking wish they could get that. And I've got that in like 4 days from 170 fucking subscribers. YouTube Daddy is a dish. I belong on OnlyFans, I guess. That's the truth.
Mr. Glazier, your client had, after you very thoroughly questioned him on the record, asked to withdraw his motion to withdraw his plea.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so, and, Mr. Dietos, and you have discussed that further, and
I have, I just would indicate for the record, Your Honor, when I was here the last time, his mother was here, and I had never spoken to her. And she asked me out in the hallway what the motion was and all that type of stuff. And she says, what was my recommendation? And I told her, my recommendation is that he should have had an independent evaluation done all along. She told me that she believed she had talked Christopher into taking plea and to not withdrawing his plea. But I want to make sure, Christopher, you want to proceed to sentencing.
so, Mr. Dietos, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Glazier, you may proceed.
I'm going to ask you this quickly. So when we were here last time, we went over in great detail the plea, the sentencing, and all that type of stuff. And you said you wanted to not withdraw your plea, you wanted to proceed with sentencing. Is that still true today?
Correct.
Did your mother have some sort of influence on you in making the original request to take the plea or anything of that sort?
This is all on me. This is my decision.
Right. I'm comfortable with that.
All right. All right, so, Ms. Arnold, is there anyone that wishes to speak today?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so, Mr. Dietos, have you,
I'm sorry. Did she just say, did your mother influence you in taking the plea today? Oh, God. Add that to the list of how do you ask if somebody's a pussy?
you received a copy of the pre-sentence investigation report?
Yes, but I do not have it with me.
You don't need it with you, but you did receive a copy to review, correct?
Correct.
All right, and did you have an opportunity to read and review that and discuss it with Mr. Glazier?
Last week, right?
Yeah.
Last week, yes.
Yeah, so I think you actually were back in a room and Mr. Glazier talked to you about it?
Yes.
Okay, and do you feel he answered any questions that you might have had?
Yes.
And you thoroughly understand the pre-sentence report and what it contains?
To my best ability, yes.
Okay. Do you have any further questions about the pre-sentence report?
What she was asking is it accurate? You've read through it.
I went over that by more than 5 times sitting.
Oh, good.
Was there anything glaringly wrong or anything you noticed that
It was
was
like straight,
Oh my God, Stormy Gal, you're fucking right. He does look like he's wearing a fucking.
kind of weird.
yeah,
No,
Yeah,
no,
you-
no, I mean,
other than recommendations, is there anything you disagree with?
no,
All right, are you satisfied with Mr. Glazier as your attorney and the advice that he's given you?
yes,
Okay. Mr. Glazier, do you wish to explain or challenge the accuracy or relevancy of any information in the pre-sentence report?
No, my client says it's accurate.
Ms. Arnold?
Judge, not with the report itself. I did go over the offense variables and
I haven't gotten there yet. so
Oh,
give me
yeah,
just a
okay.
minute. Okay.
I don't know
Does-
your routine yet.
Okay. Does the pre-sentence report disclose any prior convictions, Mr. Glazier, in which there exists any constitutional
They do.
defect? Actually, he has no prior
I
convictions.
don't think he has a criminal history at all.
All right. Now we'll go to the guy.
I used to work for the Attorney General's office. My most recent job was at the AG's office. That's a lie. My most recent job was at YouTube and they fired me.
Guidelines. So I have received today guidelines, a new SIR. So let's see here. So originally, the guidelines I had, check this. The original guidelines that came with the pre-sentence report for the child abuse charge, the original sentencing guidelines were 29 to 57 months. And on the homicide manslaughter charge, the guidelines originally computed were one.
Wow, could I have picked a random video that was any more serious? Holy shit, dude. Come on, kid. Come on, Paze. Come on, Paze. Y'all can know my name by now. It's Paisley, and I fucked up.
135 to 225.
Judge, you've got that flip. The child abuse first degree is the A felony. That's the higher.
Oh, okay. All right, let's see. I wrote it in the wrong place then, probably 29 to 57 on homicide. Yep, and 135 to 225 on the child abuse. Now I received an updated SIR from Ms. Holly today. And on this one, on the homicide manslaughter, the guidelines are calculated to be 19 to 38. And then the guidelines on the child abuse first degree were calculated at 135 to 225. I do have in my file that the prosecutor and the defense attorney at the time before the plea had computed the guidelines to be 135 to 225. So with regard to these guidelines, Mr. Glazier, do you dispute any of the PRVs or OBs?
Your Honor, I want to put a general complaint on the record is what I want to do. I was set.
What? A general complaint? You're not allowed to complain that Mel's making a pasta that smells burning. Seriously though, Mel. I love pasta. I want pasta so bad. So bad.
And then, excuse me, I should turn my phone down in the court. Hold on. I was given this by the probation department about 15 minutes ago and said, well, don't worry about it. It keeps the guidelines the same and it really doesn't, it just changes a few things.
I have time if the three of us want to go back and go over the guidelines real quick.
That's not the point, Your Honor. The point is, if they're gonna do that, I just wish they would give me some notice. I've talked with my client and I said I probably could have adjourned this. and come back for a sentencing. We've already adjourned it once for the victim to be here, and that's why we're here today, for the mother of the victim to be here today. I gotta believe that the scoring probably does benefit my client a little bit, although I don't remember what OV7 is or OV7.
I seriously, 5 minutes in the back room, we can go through these guidelines and resolve. I don't want any outstanding.
Dang, Judge, 5 minutes in the back room, that's all it takes? When somebody says 5 minutes in the back room, my body's like, give me pan-fried prawns.
Issues being.
I just should put on record, Your Honor, I asked my client if he wanted to adjourn so I could spend more time on these. And he said, no, he wanted to proceed.
So Ms. Arnold, Mr. Glazer, and Ms. Holly, you guys go that way into the jury room. I'm gonna get my updated sets and guidelines book.
Oh, who doesn't want pan-fried prawns right now? Seriously, I want pan-fried prawns so bad. Oh, wow. I would do a lot of things for pan-fried prawns right now.
I'll be right back. There with you.
So good. I want pan. There used to be a restaurant in my city called Fu Hong Chop Suey. Oh. I would do almost anything to that man. His recipe for wonton soup and pan-fried prawns. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. I don't care what he asked me to do. It could be the freakiest shit in the world. I'd be like, yes, sir. Yes. As long as you write down that recipe right now. Upside down? Fine. I'll go upside down.
All rise.
All right, so we are back on the record. I was able to have a thorough conversation with Mr. Glazer, Ms. Arnold, as well as Ms. Holly from the Michigan Department of Corrections, and we reviewed the changes from the original guidelines to the ones that were provided today. So we reviewed the ones that were scored today, and Mr. Glazer, would you agree at this time that these guidelines are scored correctly?
The new ones, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, very good. So, all right. So we have no one that wants to speak today. So, Mr. Glazer, is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of Mr. Diaz? Other than Ms. Arnold, I'll give you an opportunity at the end, but you did not have a victim there. Mr. Glazer.
Yes, Your Honor. I would just indicate that the guidelines in this case, I tried to make it real clear to my client what the guidelines were. There was a Cobb's plea that this would be within the guidelines. And I gave him these exact guidelines as what it would be, what the guidelines would come out at. So he was aware of what was going on. This is an unfortunate situation, Your Honor. If you read the PSI, you'll look and see that my client, it was a situation where the mother talks about how Christopher does not have a lot of experience with babies. This is his first child. She's been trying to teach him how to care for a baby. She stated she has never seen Christopher become angry when frustrated. It's a situation where he was not even supposed to be watching the baby that day. It was going to be not his mother-in-law, but actually his girlfriend's mother was, and something came up, and so he ended up having to watch this baby on his own, which for a normal person doesn't sound like a big problem. Most people can handle a baby. The situation with my client, Your Honor, is he's a 51 IQ, and I don't see where, I think that's referred to.
51 IQ? That's not even funny. Oh my goodness. I really hope I'm double. I'm such a terrible person. Oh my God.
report. If not, you can look at the psychological evaluations and it puts what his IQ is in it. If you run the test that was given to him at that time, that puts him at the level of an imbecile. He's characterized as an imbecile under the IQ test, a score of 51. He doesn't have a lot of control over some of the things he does. You know? He's always had some limited learning abilities and coping abilities and all sorts of things throughout his life. If you want to hear him in detail, his mother's here and she'd be more than happy to explain to you all the problems he's had growing up as a child and as an adult. They've done the best they can to treat him as an average, ordinary child. And that's one of the reasons when he communicates, he talks fairly well. You would never guess that he has these limitations. I was quite surprised when I saw what his IQ came in at. I guess the point is, Your Honor, you can see he's taking medication on page 3. That's where I was reading from before. For his issues. But nobody, the prosecutor, or not the prosecutor, the probation department recommends 15 years to 50, which is within the guidelines. I can't imagine that he wouldn't parole out early, parole out on time. This is not a vicious murder or a vicious child abuse case or anything of that sort. It was a situation where if a jury finds
Just semi-vicious. Not super vicious. Semi-vicious.
not that he intentionally, but that he knowingly caused harm to a child, that could be bootstrapped into a first-degree murder, he'd never get out. He'd be in there for the rest of his life. And he knew, and I think he knows, and I think he understood that he couldn't risk that, and that's why he took this plea. Against my advice, I still would have preferred to have had an independent evaluation. That being said, Your Honor, my client has suffered as big a loss as anybody in this case. Now, granted, it was because of some circumstances that he was responsible for, or at least that he couldn't control, and that's unfortunate. But he's lost his only child, Your Honor.
I'm not feeling very sorry for him. Sorry. Fucking try harder, dude. Nope. Nope.
His only child is dead because of the mistake that he made, and that's a hell of a punishment. We would ask the court to go to this screams out to be at the low end of the guidelines. This should be the 11 years, 7 months, or 10 years, 7 months, whatever.
Low end.
The number of months under the guidelines. That's when he should be eligible for parole. And if for some reason the parole system doesn't parole him out quick, I just can't imagine him spending 50 years in prison for this.
Do you imagine his child living for 50 years? Is that what you imagine? Why is it his life is so important that you can't even comprehend him living for 50 years inside of a jail? I don't even know what happened. And I can tell you right now, little fucker over there probably deserves the 50 years. I'm being serious. Find me the other details and I'll tell you if I'm wrong. I'll eat my words. But at this point in time, your argument sucks, dude. It really sucks. Like, get better.
A mistake on his part. It's tragic, not only for the mother who.
And in fact, let's just talk about something for a second. Let's talk about the period of purple crying, which is important and integral to parents that are coming home with a new baby. There is a time when babies will cry, and they will cry and they will cry and they will cry no matter what you do. Okay? That is not a time to lose your cool. But if you're a young man from the ages of 15 to 30 years old, the likelihood of you losing it in that time frame is huge. It grows exponentially. And that's why you need to know about the period of purple crying and the time that babies spend just crying, and that it is okay to walk away. And as a woman or as a partner, you need to be talking about this ahead of time. You need to be on top of this. Hey, this baby may be too much for us for a little while, and we need to figure out a system to deal with that. And it doesn't mean that we are not good parents, and it doesn't mean that we didn't do our best. Important is recognizing what could happen and planning for that. And there's no shame in saying, I need help. I need more support. I need somebody to help me with this. Scott says it here. Happened when his daughter was 6 weeks old. She would not stop crying. Ended up sitting at the kitchen table, pressing your hands against your ears. Walk away is what you had to do, and what the responsible thing to do is. There's nothing wrong with that. While it feels horrible, it feels so, it's heart-wrenching inside of you. It's actually the right thing to do. You walk away, you ask for help, you reach out to that support group that you've created on the internet. I don't know, wherever it is, you reach out and you say, I don't know what to do right now. And somebody helps you. And when somebody reaches out like that, we need to be the community that reaches out and says, I can help you. Let's figure out a way to help you. Okay? But never is that shaking a baby. Never is that yelling or screaming at a baby. Never. That baby is better off crying in vain at nobody than being shaken by you. You have to be adult enough to realize that. And if you can't see that, then you need to ask for help, you know? Like I only have one baby. And I breastfed, and I call it a crutch. I mean, I breastfed her for 2.5 years. She cried, boob. She cried, boob. Fucking, my nipple was out constantly. Just literally. I hear her cry, my nipple comes right out. And it's cool. Like, I was all good with that because it worked, you know? Not everybody has that. But that's what I did. Now, maybe she has shitty teeth. Well, whatever. I'll deal with the shitty teeth. But she she was quiet when she needed to be quiet, when I needed to know that, oh, I'm making a difference. Um, Scott saying his dad had a similar experience when he was about 5 months old, kept crying, crying, and crying, said it was fraying his nerves. It's a real thing. And it's not just like there's a true difference between a young man who is just coming into his manhood, who's made a decision to be a father, but he may not be in his prefrontal cortex ready for that yet. And so we need to be able to say to those young men who are fathers and young women, it is okay to take a break, to walk away. You leave that baby in a crib. You leave them in a drawer. You put them on the floor, on a blanket, surrounded by nothing, and they are safe. Okay? Like that is what you have to realize is that the safety is not quiet. The safety is you being calm. And it is such a hard thing to think about. And even as a 27, 28-year-old man, it is jarring on the nerves. It is difficult. Even as a mother, it's jarring on your nerves. You want to You want them to be quiet. You just beg them. I remember looking at my daughter and just wondering, like, what else can I do? What more can I do? And the reality at that point is nothing. You can do nothing. You can walk away now and be okay. And don't feel bad about that. Don't feel bad, because they will never ever remember the period that they spent crying on the floor while you were crying in the bathroom. Believe me, they won't. But if you go to that baby and you shake them or you hurt them to make them quiet, that will never go away. Will never ever go away. So take the time, go be by yourself, deal with that sound. Reach out to who you need to reach out to. There are people there that you can reach out to, I promise you. But the quiet is not the win. That's not a win when you have a baby. That's not the win. I promise you. And it's so hard. I was 19 when I had my baby. I was 19 years old. Oh, waking up in the middle of the night just thinking, oh my God, this fucking thing again? Yes, this thing again. It's just the way it is. And even having a good, happy baby, it's hard sometimes.
Who I guess isn't here today, and for obviously bad for the child, it's bad for everything. But it's likewise very, very bad for my client, and I'm sure he can barely stand it. I don't have any of this.
Mr. Jathos,
Yes.
is there anything you'd like to say on your own behalf?
I wish Brittany was here so I could apologize to her, but I can see she's not in here. I wish her nothing but the best, and I'm so sorry for what happened.
Ms. Arnold, anything on behalf of the people?
Oh, no, thank you.
In determining the appropriate sentence in this case, the court has considered the seriousness of the offense, your history, the principle of proportionality, the statutory penalty, cost of confinement, sentencing guidelines, the report and recommendation of the probation department, as well as what has been said upon the record at this hearing. Ms. Adams, I do not have notice of right to appellate review.
Okay, sorry.
The criteria and the reasons for the sentence are the nature and gravity of the offenses, the discipline appropriate to its commission, deterrence against repetition by you and by others, the potential for reformation, vindication for the law, and the protection of society. These are the very worst of the cases that come in front of the court and that the attorneys have to represent anytime a life is lost. It affects everybody, but most importantly, the people who lost. And in this case, Mr. Dathos, you also lost a child due to your behavior, and the mother lost a child, and looks like she probably couldn't even come to me. So based on the fact she probably just can't deal with this either. Because I can see your client struggling as well, but I do see people in the courtroom, so I'm assuming her family members are here in support. And then Mr. Dathos' family is here as well.
A very sad situation.
Sentence of the court that you serve a sentence with the Michigan Department of Corrections of 156 months to 600 months for the child abuse charge, and 4 years, 9 months to 15 years on the homicide charge. Those will be served concurrent. We have an updated credit.
Yes, 334 days.
Credit for 334 days. And I can order restitution here today.
Yes,
Okay,
I didn't have, oh, yes, I did, yes.
okay. I've just not had that before. Miss Arnold, do you have any input on that? I've not had that happen before, and I'm sure Miss Holly's right. I've never had restitution.
Yeah, I thought it was typically ordered as a condition of parole, but I don't think it's.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order $130 crime victim rights fee, $68 state costs, $60 DNA fee. As a condition of parole, you'll be
Poor wee Babby. Poor wee Babby. Oh, oh, how I wish I could have got to the parents sooner. It's actually making me cry because I wish somehow somebody could have talked to them sooner and helped them. This poor wee Babby. You know, I may have been 19 when I had my daughter, but I was able to protect her. Not everybody is able to do that. But the amount of money that's being spent on this case now, if we had put it in at pre-conception time or even after baby was born, what difference could we have made? You know, that's what I always think about. It breaks my heart when a babby is, I always call them babbies, when a wee babby is taken. Because I mean, you guys know I used to run a mommy group. We had moms of all different ages and abilities, and I used to hold the babies all the time. That was my favorite thing to do, was hold the babies in our wee baby group, which was 0 to 3 months, or we had lots of different groups. And you know, there are mothers I spoke to about situations like this where they were scared about what their partner would do. And we talked about it. We figured it out. We were able to make a difference. But only because I was there. I was asking the questions. I was digging. You know, I don't let somebody's face when they look at like that. When I ask the question, I fucking dig. I'm a bitch like that. I go deep. I don't let them pretend like it's not the problem. And I just wish somehow somebody would have been able to get to these people, because these aren't bad people. These are people that were in a situation that was too much. And it hurts my heart to know that somebody like me or somebody like one of you who has the caring in their bodies could have made a difference without any cost, with just asking the right questions. It kills me. With all the money flying around, you know.
be required to pay $1,370 in restitution to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. There'll be a state supervision fee of $30 per month without monitor and $60 with monitor. And during, under the jurisdiction of the Michigan Department of Corrections, you'll obey and comply and complete all programming recommended. I know that for all the family members here, I mean, I lost a brother. There's nothing like the loss of a child. So I recognize how hard it is for everybody. And I'm sorry for everybody's loss. These cases just don't ever get better, and I'm sorry. So, Mr. Dietos, you do have the right to appeal this sentence. My bailiff's going to hand down to you 3 copies of your notice of right to appellate review. I want you to initial and date 1 copy for my records. That's just to let me know that you received your paperwork. So go ahead and do that.
56, what she had changed, she found her. Yes, did you go to, was that 13 years? She did.
So, yeah, Mr. Dietos, I didn't exceed the recommendation. So you signed that one just to acknowledge you received your appellate paperwork. If you decide that you want to appeal my sentence, you would fill out the information on that paperwork. You could do it today. You can do it and have it sent over by kite from the jail if you want, or you take it with you to the Michigan Department of Corrections. But
Even as an appeal, Stormy Gal, I believe in Michigan, he has the right to, or sorry, even as a plea, I believe he has a right to appeal based upon leave given from the court. Oftentimes you'll hear the court say you are not eligible for appeal until leave is given from the court. I would assume that most of the time leave is given from the court. Judges, for the most part, including Judge Anzalone, who is, I believe, a top-notch judge. I will just say that, a top-notch judge. Those judges don't dissuade people from appealing their rulings. They actually encourage it. It's almost like when you're really smart and you're like, fuck yeah, test me, bitch, because you know you're good. I think she's one of those judges, similar to a few other judges that I know, who's like, yeah, fucking appeal it. Let's see what happens, because they feel and they believe that they are within the rule of law as they've ruled. Appellate courts are important for those reasons, and I believe that it is important to allow those types of appeals to happen, but I don't often think that they will be overturned. And as usual, I mean, I'm not an attorney. I'm just some girl that failed Canadian high school, you know. But I watch a lot of court. I watch a lot more court than a lot of lawyers do. And I think that generally judges get it right. If they care. You know, I believe Judge Anzalone cares. There's a few other judges I know that really, like, I believe they go home at night and they think to themselves, did I get that right? Did I get that right? And if they didn't, like, they worry about it. You know, I'm not worried about not graduating high school. Like I just said earlier, my last mainstream job was as a direct media consultant for the Attorney General in the province that I live in, giving them day-to-day rundowns of a money laundering inquiry that ran for 8 months. And they hired me to do that job because they couldn't hire somebody internally to do it. Well, I failed high school, but they seemed to take what I said straight to the Attorney General, no problem. So I don't worry about much about what degrees I've got, more about what people think of my work.
you have 42 days. If you decide you want to appeal my sentence, you would fill out the information on the form. and mail it to the address listed on the form within that 42 days, all right?
Okay.
Like I said, you can do that before you leave today if you want. I wish everybody healing and good luck in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm talking.
That's 100% true, Scott McRae. A lot of degrees are given, no longer earned, but simply passed out. We're not going to start on another case because not that stupid. Let's just talk for a minute about this case. You guys, here, I'll find the poster that I have of my old. So when I got pregnant at 19 years old, I hope you can still hear me. And when I was, um, now you hear all the stuff. Anyways, when I was 19 years old, I got pregnant. I became a mom. It was hard for me. I immediately felt not good enough, but I knew I wanted to be good enough. And so I joined a mom's group. I joined this mommy group. Um, we started exchanging emails. There was 5 of us that exchanged emails. And within about 6 months, there was 500 of us local moms exchanging emails. We started a website. I had a local spot on the news doing a parenting minute every week. And I had found my purpose. I was a conduit for parents coming into the system. I found people that they would connect with. I knew how to help people. And at 20 years old, I had women who were college professors asking me for advice. I had women who were consummate professionals in their jobs asking me for advice. A girl who just failed high school. But the reality was is that the confidence and care that I gave to each and every single one of the moms that were in my group meant that they trusted me and that I did what was best for them in that moment. We created a group where, this was 15 years ago. So this was pre internet social media where you were creating real life groups. And I did that because it felt right and it gave me a purpose as a mom. Other than that, I would have fallen back into being a teenage mom. I wouldn't have had these other people to look towards and say, hey, that's how I want to be. I don't want to have 6 more kids. I want to get a degree or I want to have a job or I want to do these things. Um, and it's funny because while I was looking at those women saying, wow, look what they have. That's what I want. They were looking at me going, wow, look at how confident she is. Look how she can talk to us all. Everybody's looking at somebody else, wondering, wow, why can't I be like that? And what you need to realize is that who you are is important enough. And you can be that person so authentically that other people want to be there too. My daughter now is so much better than I ever was as a kid. I'm so proud of the child that she's become and the person that she will become. But it has very little to do with me, just in the environment that I facilitated for her to grow in. Actually, she probably would do better the less I was involved. just the more I sort of scaffolded around her would create this environment that she is able to grow in. And that's what I hope for you with your kids, your grandkids, your nieces and nephews, the people that you care and consider your family. Create around them the scaffolding and support that they need so that they can grow and watch them flourish. Because it's pretty cool what you can create just by being a trampoline, by being a soft spot for somebody to land. It's pretty incredible. Jonathan, you're gonna make me cry. What have you said? You've done so much to help me become your most authentic self, and you're right. The right people notice that. Well, Jonathan, you people, I feel stupid saying that, but you guys are my family, more so than my real family, to be honest. And it's so difficult. It is so hard. Like, I'm going through being a mom of a 15-year-old right now for the first time in my life. But I know that there are people out here like Melanie, like other people that have had this happen and that can tell me it's okay. You're gonna get through this. What you're doing is okay. When you pass that on to somebody else, that's that's helpful, you know. I appreciate all of you guys. I can't believe I just did another lie. But seriously, I know it might sound silly, and there might come a day when the internet sort of ceases to exist. Knock on wood, let's hope it never happens. But imagine that day if the internet stops and we all have to go back to being weird fucking Neanderthals. We're going to be able to think back like, hey, there was this one night when we talked about this, or we had this talk, or I won't ever forget it. And I know that empowered me to be a better, different person. Um, Mayor, we are still going. Scott has just said once they reach that age, the teenage years, you have to trust how you've raised them because they're capable of getting themselves into a world of hurt. 100%, Scott. I've chosen not to snoop in my daughter's life, even though I absolutely could. I'm way better than her at technology, and I could absolutely snoop in her life. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is realize, like, and it's already happened. She's come to me with things that I would never have gone to my mother with. Never in my life. And she's come to me and said them with no, like, concern or shape or, like, or scaredness in her life. And I think to myself, holy fuck, why is she telling you this? It's because she trusts you and she's not scared of you. That's scary to me in a way. I'm like, how did I earn that trust? But I did. And and it's that, you know. Teenagers are like toddlers. They are needy, but they want independence at the same time, Jody. 100%. 100%. And you know, I don't look at my daughter's whereabouts, let's say, on her phone. But if I say, hey, send me your fucking, pin me your details right now, she will. She will if I need them, you know, because I don't track her. I don't feel the need to do that. My privacy has been violated too many times in my life to want to do that to somebody I care about. On the other hand, I would just prefer to say, I love you so much, and I've already told you all the ways that you might be hurt, or like 62% of the ways that you might be hurt. And remember that I'm here for you, and I will always be a soft spot to fall. And already she's come to me and said, Mom, What do I do? And I've literally had to say, holy shit, like my natural default is don't respond to that. Put up a wall because that's how I was raised. And yet I have to go, oh, no, 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 no. She's not scared of you. She is not afraid of you. She wants you to help her. And it takes learning of me to say, okay, I need to learn how to properly react as a parent to this because I've not ever had that as a reaction from a parent. I've always had an overreaction. You're in trouble. You're a bad person. It's hard to unlearn that. But as parents, we can come together and say, oh, I didn't know how to deal with it. Like, it's okay to say that too. Just say, I don't know, you know? Mayor, was she talking about me? That's super sweet. You guys know that I make them look big like this. They're not actually that big. But seriously, like the people on YouTube that have experience, that have kids, that have grandkids, that have great grandkids, do you know how much I value their opinion and experience in life? When they can tell me, yeah, not just the last generation, but the generation before that came to me and asked about this. And they still talk to me. That's that's valuable. That's that's what I really value in this community is not only me teaching people, but me learning from other people who have more experience than I do. We have two ears and one mouth. And even though I talk all the time, we should listen twice as much as we talk. It's how you learn. And I feel sappy half the time, but in reality, the other half the time, I just think, oh, wow, like, thank fuck I'm out here because those people that don't even want to pay attention or they're just sitting there not even listening. ah, I remember what it was like being a kid of one of those people. It wasn't good. So, you know, yeah, you can hear while they're talking because they're separate. Again, like my daughter. Like, for example, my daughter, she wears clothes that I would never have worn to school. Not because I was like unwilling to wear them, but because I wasn't confident in my own body. And I've realized I raised her to the point where she doesn't give a fuck what other people think. And I think to myself, oh my God, good job. But part of me still says, cover your tummy because I was raised like that. But I'm smart enough, luckily, to not say that to her. Say, good job, have a great day, I love you, peace out. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And she says, whatever, mom, you're a loser. But seriously, like, I would never have worn half of what she wears because my belly's too fat. That's just the truth of it. I feel like my belly is too fat. It doesn't matter if her belly's fatter or thinner than mine. She doesn't feel that shame. And that is a win to me. That's like, wow, you won, dude. She gets to go to school and not feel like shit. Like that, it's so beautiful to me that she does that. And I really don't care how I had to get there. I got there. And she still goes to school every day. She got 3 more years left, 10, 11, and 12. And we'll see how we do. But up until now, she's gone every single day. She's learned French and English. And and she's like, I remember one day I said to her, I was like, what are you wearing? She was wearing some like sexy little outfit. And I was like, what are you wearing out? And she goes, I'm wearing this. I was like, are you sure you want to wear that? She goes, why are you sexualizing me? 13 years old. I was like, well, fuck, bitch. You're right. Just had to eat my words. Like, why am I sexualizing her? That's my problem, not her problem. And I've taught her so good that if somebody sexualizes her in public, that girl ain't gonna be scared to fucking yell at that person straight up. I'm 14 years old or I'm 15 years old, you know? Like that's what I've raised is not a daughter who's afraid to be beautiful, but a daughter who's confident enough to say, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Like that is why I'm happy and proud. And people are like, well, what grades does she get? I don't fucking know. Do you think I open her report cards? I don't. I never do. They don't matter shit to me. But if she gets up every day and goes to school, I'm very happy. Very happy. But I literally can see 3 report cards that I've never opened from right here. I just don't open them. I don't care. It's not how we mark. It's not how we measure success in my house. And remember how she drew me was like this. Open one now. You want me to open one now? Sure. I'll open one now. Here we go. I got one right here. And see, the reason I don't look at these is because I don't care. I don't care. Like they could literally have written, she is the smartest person in the entire world. And I would be like, yeah, I already believe that. Anything you write less than that is not going to impress me. And I tell the teachers that at the beginning of the school year. I'm like, listen, baby, you and I know, we both know you can put whatever numbers you need to put in to make it work. So I trust you as a teacher to put the numbers in that make it work. And that's how we do. And most teachers are pretty good with this. Let's see here. What have we got? Okay. And see, look it. She's gotten great grades if I was to care, but I don't. But she got here a B minus in locating myself in the world. What the fuck is that? Locating myself in the world. First of all, she gave herself a B minus. The teacher gave herself a C plus. Let's go ahead and fuck you, teacher. Let's go ahead and fuck you, teacher. I'm not joking. This is 3 years old. I've never looked at this. I just don't. I give them no power whatsoever. I don't even look at it. Look at what she's got here. Student goals for this year. Work harder, focus better. Yeah, babe, those are my goals too. Those have always been my goals. Here's what the teacher wrote. This term, you have established routines and strategies that are helping you to focus and work during class time. You can share your opinions about subjects that interest you in writing and orally. Now that you have a strong foundational and established IEP, which is Independent Education Plan, or Individualized Education Plan, and adaptations, you can continue to strive and to complete and submit assignments. First of all, I always say that. I don't give a fuck how many fucking assignments she turns in. It doesn't matter to me. All the make work that you make the kids do, I don't care. The teachers hate me because of that. I literally walk in and I'm like, okay, and look at in French, she gave herself a C plus. The teacher gave her 0. It gave her a 0. And she wrote, I think I did a good job this year as I worked hard, although I do think I need to gain more motivation. That sounds really, really insightful to me. Again, Another B minus. Watch, do not read these. It doesn't matter to me what the teacher writes. I don't sign them. There's nothing. They were like, oh, we need that folder back. I'm like, really? Because I'm not giving it back. Watch this. And I don't give it back, and I never do. I'm literally their fucking worst nightmare as a teacher. But what did the teacher write? She wrote, what did the teacher write? Okay, let's read it. Your work on the deck of cards demonstrates strong artistic ability and the ability to create a plan to design a product and put it into action. You are motivated to work on this project and are supporting peers in their efforts. Continue to work on completing the written research portion of your project. Approach games in class with an open mind. I encourage you to participate in the mega game on the 16th. Usually I start saying something like, listen, what I actually usually say to the teachers is, I really trust you as an educator. Did you get into teaching because you love educating and you really know how to help students? Because I value your opinion and your ability to know how to help each individual student, regardless of the implied curriculum that you need to follow. And that then gives them an ability to just sort of leave the curriculum. Um, some teachers don't like that, but that's really what I tend to go for. It's like, hey, I trust you as a teacher, and you don't need to worry about making sure she filled in all the stuff. I mean, look at this book she wrote called Sickness. I mean, I would ride on this book for about 3 years, you know? And here's the other thing. How many of you think I may have had a college degree? Working at the Attorney General's office, creating daily media notes and files for the Attorney General based on money laundering. Yeah, apparently everybody would think that. None. I failed high school. But you don't need to have passed anything to be good at something. That's the truth of the matter. I'm very confident, so I win the confidence scam every time. If I figured this out. If you give me a temp job and I show up, I usually show up the first day and I'm like, oh, what would you need me to do? And they're like, oh, can you answer the phones? And I'm like, sure, no problem. I can answer the phones. And I answer the phones and I'm like, hey, what's that other thing that you wish somebody would do, but nobody will do? And they'll be like, oh, it's XYZ. And then I just do XYZ. Well, shit, I got the job every time. They just hire me the next day. They're like, shit, she did XYZ. We only asked her to answer the phones, but she did XYZ. It wins every time. Mayor's going to sleep, trying to get some more sleep. That's a good idea, Mayor. I'm over here preaching about, I don't even know what I'm preaching about, to be honest. Um, Mostly I'm preaching about believing in your kids. When a teacher says something about your kid that's not true or that's like being a dick to your kid, go with your kid. Honestly, for the most part, go with your kid. I'm really banking on them for the most part. Um, I've had jobs that I should absolutely need a degree for that I do not have. I barely passed high school. Like I literally failed high school and I got my GED later. Um, it's not about what you have or what you know in the same sense of like a diploma. It's about how you make that function in a workplace. Don't put me in a workplace where you want people to concentrate because I will not help them concentrate. I will absolutely distract people 1,000% from their jobs. But if you want people to be creative, think outside the box, and fucking sort shit out, put me in charge. We'll sort it out. Like Jonathan will need to go to sleep. fucking mayor will have to go to sleep. A few of us that remain up, we will figure it out. I love you, Jonathan. Thank you so much. I love this amazing family too. As we say right here, let's pull it down off the wall. As far as anyone knows, we are a nice and normal family. And but first coffee is not attached. But seriously, we are a family. Like when people come to me or people come to us and say, "Hey, I got a problem," I'm gonna work my fucking ass off to figure it out. As much or if not more than if I had a freaking degree. Believe me. Believe me. Maybe not as much as if I didn't have a Fernando in my house. Jonathan, have a good night. It's actually a good time. I have my retin link right here. My boys. Stream where I talk about the influence they've had on me in my life. But it's not today. Um, I will let you guys go now. I hope you have a wonderful night. I will be on during the day tomorrow. Find me tomorrow during We Got a Chase, We Got a Case, all the Credence and Mikey stuff. Can we please get them to 20K soon? Like, that would make me so happy. Mikey works so hard. It's not even funny. Like, if I work hard, he works 30,000 times harder than I. So let's make it happen for him. Okay? They deserve it. I love you guys so much. I'll talk to you soon. Can we believe we just almost did another 2 hour stream? Now shit's falling off the shelf. My makeup's shitty. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.